Oh, I forgot to make sure. Oh, cool. We only have one of you on audio, I think. Wait, do you have none of you on audio? I have none of you on audio. Hold up. There we go. Now we can hear you.
Hello,
Welcome,
everybody.
everyone. We are live and extremely loose with whatever this is right now. Cheers. It is now official. Nithya has won. David Rue is no longer the council representative of the 4th City Council District. And Jackie Lacey's gonna get gone. Woo! Bye-bye, Jackie. Oh my God, that rally, Caroline, you were there. It was so much fun. Oh my God, so emotional.
I mean, yeah, it was really. I mean, those are always incredible, but on top of the fact that Jackie Lacey's gone, Measure J passed, and then finding out that Nithya officially won in the middle, it's beautiful. I mean, it really is, and like just being all together. There were so many incredible things that the speakers were talking about. Everyone really had, a great sense that like while we've had all these victories, this really is just the beginning. And even on a national level, it's like, it looks like Joe Biden's gonna eke out a victory, but I think the circumstances are such that like because it wasn't an easy win, they have no legitimacy to like tell us what to do. Meanwhile, we're just crushing, our city council races and other things. So it felt really, really good. Yeah, I'm very, very happy.
Yeah, considering that more than 200,000 people died of coronavirus and Trump managed to completely implode the economy because he has no capacity to listen to instructions or follow directions or do anything give a shit about anyone outside of his own little sphere of ego. Biden should have cleaned the fucking map.
Yeah.
I don't understand how it was so fucking close that they're still trying to figure out exactly what has happened here. It shouldn't have been that close.
It shouldn't have been. And if, like, save the pandemic, let's say COVID never happened, Trump would have easily won.
Oh, yeah.
Like, handsomely cleaned up. And that's what's even scarier. Like, Chris, to your point, like, we're in this truly unprecedented time. Millions are out of work. Millions are going to lose their housing. Millions are underfed if they're fed at all. And it's still literally probably going to be contested. That makes no sense to me. Like, that's like what the strategy of appealing to fake white voters in the suburbs at diners in the middle of the country failed. It doesn't work. Those people don't exist. Like, people voted for Trump in higher concentrations in Latinx communities, white women. Like, there was like a doubling down of his base. And I'm just, yeah, Carolyn, to your point as well, like, there is no mandate. Like, if Biden wins, he barely won. And like, what does that say about the DNC? What does that say about the two-party system in this country? Like,
it says it's broken and it has lost like all legitimacy. And we need some serious changes. But speaking of serious changes, we have some serious changes coming up here in the city of Los Angeles, in the county of Los Angeles. We saw literally like the ballot initiatives of "Do y'all value justice?" was literally on the ballot this year, and the resounding answer was yes. Measure J just went right on through. 10% of the county budget is now dedicated toward like the kinds of resources and investment that actually facilitates our communities and improves the quality of life of everyone living in the county. And it's money that is coming directly from everything else, including the fucking sheriff's department. And It's just so good. You literally do just love to see that when we say that we need to defund the police, the rest of LA County fucking agreed with us. Like I'm sure y'all saw that video that Kevin posted this morning from that he had saved where he had made some kind of a comment on the live, yeah, on the Instagram live for the sheriff, and the sheriff read it back and was like, "Let's take it to the polls. Let's take it to the ballot box. Let's see whether or not the LA County agrees."
Yeah. Yeah, and it's super exciting because it definitely feels like people are aware that it feels like this time we all know that voting really is just the first step. And like no one is under the illusion that this is the end of anything. It really is. We're just getting started. And it's nice to just like be on the same, yeah, just be on the same page with that. And that we've gotten all of this electoral support. But after this entire summer of like direct action and just putting, physical and emotional pressure on people, like, yeah, this is fun, this is great, but this is just like, this is just a little celebration. This is not, what we're trained for, and it really is just the beginning. It's awesome.
Yeah, Master J passing is incredible, and it's just like this is slowly chipping away at the carceral system, slowly chipping away at everything that honestly has been wrong with the city, with this county, like restoring rights to people, restoring dignity to our lives as working people. Like you don't get to play with 100% of our money anymore, LAPD and LASD. Like you don't. You like actually can't anymore. And this is step fucking one. And I'm so excited that we have this win under our belt as progressive people. Like this is the start of a revolution that is long overdue for this city and for this county.
Amen to that.
I just we fought for it to win and we wanted it to win, and it's just so good to see it actually win. That coupled with Prop 17 as well passing and restoring voting rights to formerly incarcerated people is also incredible. Like a lot of things, right, that like we didn't want to pass, but seeing that happen, like that's a huge message, and that's a really, really big deal for this county and for the whole state with Prop 17. Like I just really can't underscore that anymore. And just like big shout out to Initiate Justice and all of the organizers inside and outside who are doing this work and writing these bills and getting them passed and getting the props on the ballot for us to vote for. Like this is the work of formerly and currently incarcerated people, which just says to me once again at the end of the day that organizing works, and we can only change our situations. Like we just need to work with each other. It's collective action, and it's legislating from experience, and that is what's going to change. What's going to change our cities and our counties and our states is legislating from experience, and Prop 17 is a huge example of that. So extreme shout out to everybody at Initiate Justice for getting this on the ballot. Like just incredible work.
There was somebody who came up to Melina, Dr. Melina Abdullah from Black Lives Matter LA, and told her that because of Prop 17 that he would be able to vote in the next election for the first time since he was a teenager. And that, there were a lot of things that Melina said that like made me tear up while I was trying to film all that stuff. And all of the speakers that spoke today at this, literally it was just a celebration of, well over 3 years of hard work, of consistency, of organizing from Black Lives Matter, from their allies, showing up, holding that space and creating a sacred space, a safe space for the families of the victims of state violence to grieve and to be surrounded by people who love and support them, and to confront, the faceless, nameless, in many instances, entity that has denied them justice and has destroyed their lives and taken their loved ones from them. And it was such a powerful thing to be there this evening, and then for it to also coincide with hearing about, it being a success at the ballot box of this organizing work, and to see the expansion of voting rights to people who were denied those rights for no fucking reason is glorious. And it's, nobody should be losing their right to vote regardless of what is going on. I'm just going to say that. I don't care if you're in jail right now in the middle of serving your time. You should be allowed to fucking vote, because you are still a citizen of this fucking country, and your opinion should be valued. You should also be allowed to vote, at least in local shit, even if you're not registered as like, if you didn't, even if you're undocumented. We need to expand the franchise. Oh my God, we need to expand the franchise. Oh.
And can I just add on to that as well?
Yes, yes.
My friend Richie, who is one of the like co-founders of Initiate Justice, and one of many organizers pushing for Prop 17. I saw him speak a few weeks after he was made free.
Uh-oh. Oh no, is my network falling apart?
Yes. So when he was released 2 years ago now,
Uh-huh.
2 years ago, he was speaking at an event for Initiate Justice, and something he said has stuck with me for the last 2 years, and that was describing his experience while he was incarcerated, being told like when to get up, when to go to sleep, what to eat, what to wear, and like really kind of reckoning with how much the state controls his entire life in every
Yeah.
single aspect, and he has no say over it. Like he does not get any decision in like what happens to him and what he does with his day. And as someone who, like, I don't know anybody personally in my family who has been impacted by incarceration, I had never thought of that. And that's like a huge privilege that I have. Like, I've never thought about what people go through when they're incarcerated. And I was like truly blown away by that. And it seems like such a common sense thought, right? Like, of course, you don't get to decide what happens to you, but that is so incredibly fucked up. And I had never thought about it until he said it in such like a simple explanation of like, the state controls what I do and I don't, and I actually should get a say in that, and I should get a say in in what the world looks like when I am released. Like that is my right. And I agree with you as well, Chris. Like if you live in my neighborhood, if you live in my community, you should be able to vote. Like, you contribute by existing, and you should have the right to vote. Whether or not you are documented is irrelevant to me, because if you walk on my sidewalks, drive on my streets, if you work in the stores, if you're my coworker, if you're my neighbor, if you're my teacher, you're my nurse, like, you deserve to have a say in what the world looks like that you live in. Like, it's just common sense. So anything that helps re-enfranchise people is like 100%, we need to do it. Everybody should have a right to vote regardless of their situation, where they live, where they don't. Like, it's just yeah, Prop 17 passing is like incredibly huge for me, and I'm like really, really fucking happy to see it pass.
Well, one thing,
it's great.
Yeah, I wanted to see and that I'm curious about is, so obviously, we're talking about a lot of great things that happened, but of course there were some props and races that did not go our way. But I wanted to ask, because I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that props like 15 and 21, like, didn't they do very well in LA as compared to the rest of California? So yeah, I'm kind of curious what you all think about the fact that, yeah, those like incredibly important rent control and yeah, like housing props did not pass. But the reason why I thought like this came to me was because I was looking at the LA specific numbers last night. And I was like, wait, no, like, this is close. Why is everyone freaking out? Like, we got this. And then they were like, what website? Yeah. So yeah, just kind of curious what you all think that means for LA County versus, other parts of California. And also, you have to kind of think that Los Angeles' role as a progressive, sort of like the initial avant-garde of what's going to happen down the line is exciting, even though they ultimately lost a couple of these props and races.
Yeah. I mean, you two, please. Stephen and Rachel.
I mean, my only initial thoughts are that there are organizers all throughout the state. It's not just folks in the Bay and in LA. Like, there are people up and down California who are doing this work with us. We just don't know them yet. And so for me, I think it's important to try and identify where our allies are throughout the state. Where are our allies in Fresno, in Bakersfield, in Modesto, in Redding, in Eureka? Like, where are all of these people who are doing this work? Like, I'm 100% sure that there are folks who share our politics in every part of the state. How can we help them? Like, how can we boost their content? How can we show up for them, literally drive upstate and canvas for them? Like, we need to help them at a local level. The same way that we work to fix our city councils, there's city councils all over the state. And I think it's like staying local and just helping folks out in whatever way that looks like for them and their communities in order to get to a point where we can pass things like this year was Prop 15. 2 years ago, it was Prop 10. Again, something that LA County voted overwhelmingly in favor of, but the rest of the state did not. So I think it's just finding our allies, right? And building out that education, building out just skill sharing, giving resources when we can, and resources, time, energy, sweat, in addition to money. So there's just so many ways that we can help. And also just really hammering home the point that California is not as progressive as it seems, and even LA is not as progressive as it seems. I think it's just a huge point that we do need to make. It's imperative that we make that point, not just for our communities and our neighbors, but also for the DNC. You cannot take this state for granted. You cannot assume that we're just going to vote for the DNC candidates whenever they're up for election. I just think that it's important that we make that distinction for folks. This is not a given state because it is overwhelmingly red when you look at the map. So that is my initial thoughts for both of those props, honestly, 15 and 21. And I really do think that there weren't enough nonprofits and unions backing both of those. I think a lot of weight was thrown to 15, but not a lot was thrown to 21, to the detriment of 21. Frankly, I think we could have a stronger showing. And I don't think, and we'll probably talk about this later, I don't think enough weight was thrown into 22. I don't want to get into that now. I think we have other guests who might be joining us, right?
I mean, we have people who said that they're going to come on, but I don't actually see anybody in the queue to get on here, so.
Minute.
We'll be waiting for them.
Well, yeah, I would love, Stephen, if you want to talk about the big thing that happened today, that was totally, as far as I know, totally unexpected, a huge win. So yeah, I'll let you take it from here. This means a lot to you, I know. So what have you got?
I'm gonna be listening, but I'm gonna step away to go get a beer. But I can still hear you even when my headphones are off, because I'm special like that.
Oh, producer.
To anybody watching who has not followed this case, this is a pretty miraculous and pretty awesome day, despite all the other static going around. And to anybody who I guess is following the work that we do, this is one of the most tangible and culturally relevant and just immediate results of really incredible organizing, really, really hard work. So essentially, assuming some know, some do not, there's an LA rapper, South Central rapper named Draco the Ruler. Draco the Ruler is insanely popular. and was stylistically very, very influential in the specific part of Los Angeles that's starting to pop in terms of independent space. Now, when you think about Los Angeles rap music, it's largely controlled by industry. It's entirely major label funded. It's very rare that authentic pockets of LA get to exist. That goes for anything, for food, for culture, for anything. But it really, really tends to go for this music. Anyway, New Year's Eve 2016 into 2017, there's a shooting at a party. A couple days later, totally unrelated, over wiretap, a Compton, I believe Compton detective keeps hearing the name Draco the Ruler. We phone tap an area.
She's like big on homeless stuff.
Motter, mute.
We have Motter joining us, so I'm going to put Motter on screen.
Hi, amazing. I was like, what?
Oh, was I not muted?
No.
You were not muted.
My bad. Whatever.
Please.
This isn't like the serious one, right? We're just chilling.
No, we're not serious. But
We can be
Steven
a little
was in the middle of the
goofy.
story.
Fantastic transition. So speaking of bad, Detective Francis Hardiman overhears on the wiretap in Compton this name Draco the Ruler. Again, if you're going to have wiretaps in the area, you're going to hear Draco's name because Draco is that dude in the area.
Yeah.
So they try to pin this shooting on him, partially because Draco drives flashy cars, and partially because Francis Hardiman is like an 80s movie squarehead detective, the type of dude that you imagine boiling with rage listening to NWA in like a bad John Hughes movie. A caricature of a person, blatantly racist, who had multiple citations for racist behavior, either in LASD or LAPD. I'm not sure about that. What's more important about the detail here is that somebody confesses to the murder, but that's not enough because this case has been built up pretty significantly. Turns out that Draco is able to beat the murder case, but in some very California fashion, gets retried on the very, very, very same case due to gang enhancements and gang criminal conspiracy. I think everyone on this knows better than I do, and everyone's a lot smarter than me, but to my understanding, the gang laws in California are super vague, extremely lenient, and a big curveball over the middle for prosecutors.
Yep.
So, using rap lyrics, IG posts, music videos, and merchandise, they were able to get Draco and his brother and their producer, an entire crew. Again, one of the rare beacons of light, independent music in Los Angeles, got them officially as a gang. So now they're facing separate charges, even though they just all beat this. Draco, meanwhile, I'm sorry to keep ranting. Draco, meanwhile, gets put in solitary confinement just for them to make a point. At this point, for those who know how the hip hop or the complex industrial media cycle works, Draco's able to get some attention, but not enough attention. And there's just not enough local reportage to really hold anybody accountable. So here comes entering, feat collab X, our favorite Jackie Lacey. Bye-bye, Jackie. Jackie Lacey realizes that this case is very much on the docket, and with minor but significant public pressure kind of building on the case, sitting on something kind of interesting. Now, again, with California gang enhancement, it's a pretty good shot. Oh my goodness, the party just continues. Hi, Kendall.
Kelly now.
Hey.
Kendall!
I
Hey.
showed up over here in my Nithya shirt, and John and Tabs are wearing Nithya shirts too.
Oh my god.
Because we're just a bunch of.
I don't have a Nithya shirt. I never got one.
Chris, we'll get you a Nithya
We need
shirt.
to make
Yeah.
more. This is a side note, but we should make more. We're gonna need them.
We're gonna have to make more. Chris, I just sent you a clip on Slack. I DM'd it to you. It's from
Oh.
Take Two from NPR today.
Oh, yeah?
They talked about this race and they mentioned
What?
Ground Game by name,
What?
This is chaos. Okay.
which is
I wanna-
wild.
Steven, keep
Oh.
going.
Bill
Sorry,
just
Steven, I
joined.
didn't
Bill
interrupt.
joined the chat too. I'm gonna mute Bill until we can bring him on
It's okay.
screen.
Every time this story gets interrupted, we have to cheers for Draco's freedom.
Oh my god,
Cheers.
it's one of the most exciting things that happened.
I speak. This was
I
something
think,
I was
I
saying.
think Kendall and I are drinking the same beer, by the way.
Weird.
Kendall, your beer matches your shirt. It's fantastic.
No.
Hey, mine matches mine. Look.
But so I guess just to it's like while he was being held in solitary confinement for a case that he has successfully already beat, they decide to finally move him out of solitary right in time for COVID.
Fumero says that it's A. Martinez who is a meathead. Anybody know who A. Martinez?
That's the reporter from NPR that Alex is talking about. But
okay, sorry. I thought it was about Steven's story. Draco's free.
With his family, fucking
Draco is free.
Cheers.
So here's the miraculous thing, right? So essentially where we're at right now is Jackie Lacey has tremendous bait, knowing that this popular, very brash and flashy South Central independent black man can probably successfully be retried on a case he just beat because California's gang enhancement laws are big, fat curveballs missed right over the middle.
So fucked up.
Here's what changes, though. Here's what's crazy. A coalition of people like Black Lives Matter and Ground Game Los Angeles and People City Council and Street Watch and No Olympics and Tabitha, who's just popping in, and so many other
What's up, Tabs?
Overwhelming.
I'm a member of Tabitha.
Yeah,
personally.
I'm also with the Pool Kids, by the way.
we all live together because we're poor too. We still social distance.
Yes. Please note.
The most fun house.
Yes, seriously.
Mr. Mosley.
Oh, for sure.
Free. Mr. Mosley free tonight as of this recording. Cheers.
Okay, yeah, we need to get to the end of this.
That's
not on me. The way that this finishes is that because Jackie Lacey has now been essentially given the mandate to get the fuck out of here, Draco was very surprisingly last night, according to reporting by Jeff Weiss, offered a plea deal, and that the time
friend of the show,
Jeff Weiss, and a couple of really brave, incredible public attorneys engineered apparently a plea deal so that the time that he has already served counts and Draco is free as of this fucking recording. It's really improbable. It's really exciting. Again, it's hard to undersell. Like I was telling Rachel earlier,
massive.
I wrote this long essay about the Draco album earlier this year, which I thought was the best album of the year. And it fucking chills my bones that the most original and the best rapper in Los Angeles had to record his new album through a prison phone. And that his producer had to record that and turn that into music. This man's now home, able to be with his family, able to make music in a studio with a drink in his hand exactly as he fucking wants to. It's really incredible. And I think it is a direct result of all the coalition work, pushing Jackie Lacey out, pushing this issue forward, and being pretty unrepentant about it. And it's just a really cool day for kind of a South Central, for a Los Angeles hero who got his freedom back today.
100%.
Sorry, can you repeat, what is the connection between today, it happening today, and the Jackie Lacey? Is it
So I don't know. My best guess is that this was being held as political leverage or petty leverage for quite some time. Yeah. And the very moment that that it was known to her that she does not have the mandate and that she's getting out, she wanted to resolve something that would potentially just continue to get uglier, and something that has the potential in media cycles to paint her even for the story.
Also, if I can add, Draco took a plea deal, okay? So that's still a win in the docket for the DA, who are still all about numbers, but they know that if they don't, and they offered a plea deal that was time served, an incredibly favorable plea deal, okay? But it still means Draco had to take a plea deal, which is fucked up. Yeah. So, they knew that if Gascon takes this office, he would drop it. Right. Most likely. So that wouldn't be a win. They're still all about their own fucking numbers is a piece of it. But obviously, Steven's also right about the political ramifications.
That's mostly it. I think now looking at it, again, like we said, the gang enhancement.
This has been one of the most high-profile cases that this DA's office has been handling. So
yeah. File case, and like you said, Kendall giving him this on his record now makes it infinitely easier to get him again.
Exactly.
Which I'm sure all of the many vengeful fuckhead cops patrolling the area are super eager to do. So.
And of course, as usual, this is just, this is one case of many, and like the way that Draco has been targeted has happened to other people across the country, specifically around like rap music and hip hop culture and shit. And like, it's something that we really, really, really have to fight against, because it's to very, very scary and dangerous precedent to attack people's creative work and use it as leverage against them. It's in fact, it's honestly, it's really similar to the red baiting that Rue was doing. I think it's a complete analogy there. Like, it's, you know, these are parallel.
It's like when they threw Johnny Cash in jail for confessing to shooting a guy outside of Reno just to watch him die. Remember when that happened?
Yeah, remember that?
Remember how he died in prison because of that?
I personally did not die in prison then, but I like to wrap this up to put the bow in the Draco thing. Like, I think that it's worth considering that still the only reason we're talking about this case is because Draco is really good at one of the few art forms that capitalism and whiteness has made like heroic Greek level cool shit. And there are a lot of people who have tremendous other talents, invaluable talents that don't get recognized, who are behind those walls, who are just not going to be fought for in the same way. And I hope that personally, I can just say the Draco case is reminding me to fight for all the people who I don't know because of rap music, or I don't know because of various other modes of entertainment that whiteness is deemed like acceptable, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
exactly right.
To Draco, being out,
free man, enjoy.
And to criminal justice reform in Los Angeles as a step on the road to abolition, because fuck the police.
Let's fucking go!
Yeah, 98%.
98%. Mask off. We want to take 98% of them.
Wait, can I just say? So I'm gonna hop off so we can bring in.
Oh no, you don't need to go anywhere. You do not need to go anywhere. You are staying put. But I was gonna play. I've got the Take Two clip queued up, ready to go whenever. But please, Caroline.
No, I just wanted to highlight the fact that, sorry, I should have done this before. But I did want to just, like, as we transition a little more to talking about the big race of the evening, I did want to just, like, say how rad it is that the organization, Los Angeles, that, you know, was... I don't even think instrumental is like big enough of a word for how they helped Nithia's campaign, but can we just talk about the fact that Ground Game Los Angeles' current like Twitter banner photo just says defund LAPD, and we just won this city council race? Like, that is
all right, well, I think that's really dope. Let's bring Bill in to talk about it. Hey. Bill, you need to unmute yourself, Bill.
Is that Bob
also,
Ross?
Looks like Bill needs. You are now unmuted. It looks like you also need to take a nap.
Nah, we're good. What's up? I got all these reacts I can do. I've never used this interface before.
Bill, what has been the past 24 hours for you? Walk us through the mind of Bill in November 3rd to 4th, 2020.
You know, you wake up like you do on most days.
Mm-hmm.
You watch some cartoons. You eat some sugary cereal. Followed by, you know, you have ice cream dessert with your breakfast. You play a bunch of, you know, you play a couple of games of squash with your buddies from the country club. And then you go back to sleep. That's really all it is. I mean, for, you know, that's what it means. That's what it means to be at the top. Yeah, you just, it's all a grift.
It's all a grift.
All right, well, let's play this NPR clip that Kendall so graciously downloaded and sent to me. Y'all won't be able to hear it for a moment. Our listeners will, and I will be trying to bring it into our audio feed as quickly as possible. So bear with me for a moment.
And leaving the congressional races for a second, heated contest for city
it's apparently
council
super
right
loud
here
for
in
them,
LA
too.
between incumbent David Rue and Nithya Raman. Libby, what's going on with that one?
Well, Nithya Raman is ahead of David Rue, again, with votes left to count. But she has gotten out to about a 5,000 vote lead. And we will know more from Los Angeles County, how many votes are left to count in the county, at least tonight. But this shows that a progressive grassroots campaign in the 4th District was able to give a very strong and potentially successful challenge to an incumbent state councilman. We've never seen an electorate like this in a city council race, because only this year have the city council races in Los Angeles been synced up with state and national races. So you just see a much larger electorate, 100,000, maybe 200,000 voters in that district, compared to in the past, participation. Rue won his 2015 race with 12,000 votes. So it's just a completely different picture, and it's really showing up there.
Given Raman's fast rise, Libby, what can we take away in terms of what LA's electorate is thinking here? I know that she's a big homeless advocate.
Yes, she wants to create these homelessness service access centers. She also has ideas about levying a real estate transaction tax to help with the shortfall, in the budget at City Hall. I think that people are not happy with business as usual at City Hall, even though David Rue ran on a position of being a reformer when he was elected in 2015. Folks are deciding that it's time to let progressives have a crack at this. And I think that you're only going to see more candidates like Nithya Raman, who are supported by, Ground Game LA, the Sunrise Movement, progressive groups stepping up in 2022 in the mayor's race and the council races then.
That's KPECC's politics reporter, Libby Dankman. Libby, thanks a lot.
Yep. That's right.
We're coming for your asses.
Every single seat.
Every single seat.
Every single seat is up.
So that actually brings to mind what happened in the city council meeting this morning, where literally every single council member voted to move forward with a motion to study the possibility of implementing social housing here in Los Angeles for the first time ever. And even Mitch fucking O'Farrell decided to hop on board and get behind this. As did Councilmember Lee, but O'Farrell even spoke about it. And frankly, they're all scared shitless. They know that none of them can raise money the way that Rue could raise money. And they know that we are coming for their asses. And it's only a matter of time before they're all replaced. So they're all panicking, and they're now moving hard to the left, hopefully, with the exception of probably Buscaino, because they realize that they're going to be out of a job in a couple of years because Ground Game is here, and we're kicking ass and taking names and chewing bubblegum, but we're, I think, out of bubblegum at the moment. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one, Bill.
You like how I couldn't even convincingly pretend to be a rich grifter for I have no idea what that day looks like.
Yeah.
Rachel, you muted yourself, by the way, so we couldn't hear anything that Steven just said.
Oh, sorry.
She's been trying to silence me the whole
Rachel, stop.
It's restrictive.
He's trying to have constructive dialogue tonight, even tonight. We should still be constructive.
It's true. What was the thing that John Favreau said? He's like, we can disagree, but we should do it in private.
Yeah.
Wow, that reminds me of a great tweet that Rachel made. Do you want to talk about it? That
John Favreau's tweet. I think the first thing that needs to be said is that I am blocked on Twitter by John Favreau of Obama 2008, 2012 fame because I think I told him that he was wrong about something online, just something very benign. Anyway, yes, today he tweeted, Steven said, basically that of course the Democrats have problems. It's we need to work it out in private, which is a bizarre thing to say because it's a national party. It's one of two parties that we have in this country. Also, he then went on to describe himself as a strategist and an organizer for the Democrats, just in general. which is like also funny. I would describe him more as like a media guy and like big tweeter. Like I don't like he doesn't do anything. He has podcasts. He employs like DeRay, who is like a Dorito thumping now. So I don't really see the like power behind, Pod Save America. Crooked Media Empire has done what?
Rachel, I think you're forgetting that they spent the last 4 years and they won the Kentucky Senate seat for Amy McGrath. Like, we can't forget that was such a win. And same with, Susan Collins. How can you...
Honestly, Charles Booker got pwned tonight. There's no other way around it. Like, they got to fully clear honestly, all these people, fucking Joni Ernst in Iowa, all these people, congrats to the Lincoln Project and Gun Center. Really, really, really tremendous results.
Yeah. Rachel, just one last question about this.
Yeah.
Did Pod save America?
No, because I will say, as somebody that does, I'm sorry to say, I'm sick and I listen to Pod Save America 2-3 times a week. I forget how many times it comes out. I don't listen to their other, like, Love It or Leave It, don't care. But I listen to Pod Save America 2 to 3 times a week. No, they didn't, because as we talked about earlier, the presidential race is too close to feel real. So no, they didn't fucking save America. The Lincoln Project did not save America. What is saving communities in the United States is the organizing that we do within Ground Game, is the organizing that local and neighborhood organizations do across the states that we live in. So that's actually what's saving America. And so if Jon Favreau wants to come out of his big fucking house, wherever he lives in the city of LA, and talk to organizers in his district, he's more than welcome to. I would be more than happy to take him to a local coffee shop and have a fucking conversation about what workers are going through and what normal people are going through who don't shill Boll and Branch every fucking day of their lives. I would be more than happy to talk with him about what's going on in the city of LA, as well as the other 12 Johns that work on that podcast. But until then, I don't think he has any right to call himself an organizer, because I haven't seen the fruits of his labor. Obama did not do nearly as much as he could have done and should have done, especially having all of the levers of power in 2008. So anyway, that's what I'll say. Thank you for asking me about it. Unblock me, John Favs. I'm not that mean.
Can I jump on that with this is very real, is that the Democrats, and I'm talking the National Party and the institution and all that stuff, right? But like, they quite clearly still fundamentally misunderstand the difference between branding and organizing, right? And they run their project like it's a marketing campaign. And they've been doing this since 1992, save with the exception of 2008, when they sort of like accidentally organized. And like, like against their own best intentions, they accidentally built a huge infrastructure. And then, my personal nemesis, former Chicago mayor, right, dismantled OFA, right? Like that was the first thing they did after Obama got in the first term, was dismantle OFA. And like that was the Trump presidency started in many ways that day.
Excuse me, glossary OFA.
Organizing for America, Obama for America. It was the grassroots infrastructure that got Barack Obama elected, and was like really the only time in generations that Democrats have won sort of decisively in a fair fight, right? Because like there's no way to call the Trump presidency a fair fight. Coming out of the Bush presidency with the Great Recession was not a fair fight. Like everybody learned all the lessons, all the wrong lessons in 92. What they should have learned was like, thank God a rich libertarian ran, who's a lunatic. And so this goes back at least to the Carter race, right? Because the first race against a GOP incumbent post Nixon was essentially a layup. And that was when this thing, I think people think about Jimmy Carter now as like, oh, this like progressive guy. It was a much more sort of progressive time. He ran to the right of Ted Kennedy, right? Like the whole way he got in there was like running block for corporate interests and the Democratic South, the old unreformed racists in the South, to run block on an actual, like, something like an actual progressive in the FDR tradition. And like literally ever since then, that's been their strategy. And I can't think of a single time it's actually worked. It's I don't know anyone else who can try to do something for like half a century and be like, this is working. And eventually the voters will realize that too. Like, holy, it's so bad, y'all. And thank God, like, People's Action was out there with the deep canvas. They talked to, I think, in every battleground state, the People's Action deep canvas had more voter contacts than Biden's margin of victory, right? So it's like organizers came in and fucking saved this party despite itself.
Yep.
And I'm just very honored to live in a city where we know that we don't have to reserve a seat at the table for an unreformed, misogynist, racist, troglodyte party because of our open primary system, and we can actually like campaign on real issues. And when we get to do that, fucking win. We're gonna keep winning.
Amen. Can I add to that real quickly? Like, my parents in New York who have been watching this race are like astounded that Nancy Pelosi and Hillary Clinton endorsed a candidate for a city council race.
What about that?
And we beat it. And like, this is not to beat a dead horse, but like objectively, when you zoom out, it's really fucking impressive that we were able to combat that. And like, Lord Nithia's campaign was able to combat that and like fight through. Again, like you're saying, like, just was never set up to win in the first place, and somehow
Caroline,
won.
you can't forget it. That's what they want. They want you to forget it. You can't ever forget it.
Forget about Pelosi. They really
It's
do.
a crazy day. I did not think we were going to know the results today. I forgot all the endorsements.
Can we build a bot that just tweets out Nancy Pelosi, like tweets at Nancy and Hillary every day at like a specific time, just reminding them they endorse David Rue, and that's all it does?
Before we start talking about Nithya, because I feel like we can spend an hour on this, can I just like tie a bow on what Bill said? If Biden does pull this off, it's because of unions and it's because of Unite Here. It is because of the ground game that they had in Nevada and Arizona. This pandemic fucked that union. They went from 32,000, I think, union members to like 3,000. So many people got laid off. So many people were terminated. But it was because of the collective power and passion that they have built for decades within that union, that these people still went out to knock doors in these two states unpaid for Joe Biden, who said he didn't need our fucking votes. So if Biden does win, it is because of unions, and it's because of ground game. And that is what I will say, like literal ground game, but also probably some members of Ground Game LA are in Unite Here. But like, just to say, like, if Biden wins, it is because of people whose votes he did not even want, and our effort and our sweat and our time that he did not want. And we need to really acknowledge that working people and unions did do this for Biden in states that he probably won't even think. But I would like to thank those people who did go out and knock on doors in Nevada and Arizona.
And young people of color who understand fundamentally that you vote for your opposition, right? Who just recognize that like Biden is not their guy, but it's better to be fighting Biden than it is Trump, right? Like and harm reduction is an important piece of a broader political strategy. God, it's like we all had to do this for them. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We should move on. We should move on to the big banner race of the cycle. But like,
she's a really cool dancer.
Well, before
we'll talk about Nithya first.
Well, I was just gonna say that the I've got a video clip that speaks to so much of what we were just talking about. I'm gonna try to cue it up to play in there. It's the infamous clip. I mean, fuck it, you guys all know what it is. It's Joe Biden saying that he has no empathy for millennials, and yet millennials still showed up and fucking voted for his ass. Like, he literally told us that he doesn't give a shit about us, and we still showed up and voted for him because harm mitigation is a real fucking thing. And, we understand the bigger picture, and we understand it better than these octogenarian pieces of shit in the Democratic Party that think that they understand how this country works. And that's just my way of saying fuck Nancy Pelosi, fuck Hillary Clinton, but also let's make them honorary fundraiser co-chairs for Nithya, because I do know that the Hillary Day outperformed the fundraiser that I helped run, where we had like a bunch of Parks and Rec folks on there to talk and do like this whole production.
No shade on the cast of Parks and Rec. Thank you for putting it. Like, thank you. It helped. We needed that too.
But Hillary Clinton just saying that she.
I mean, like, is anyone really good at forging letterheads? Because we should send a letter asking for their endorsement for Mitch O'Farrell now.
That's
like we should just get that done.
Somebody make it happen. Somebody make it happen.
We should really send thank you notes to them. Just like nice little
handwritten.
I've been so gracious on Twitter, and you know how spicy I've wanted to be for like the last day and a half. Like, oh my god,
do it. Yeah.
Player clip. This is what John Motter looks like when he goes to eat. By the way, he disembodies. Like he's a spirit, and he's eating ghost food.
What did he? Oh, did he just disconnect and like leave us hanging here? He did, didn't he?
He found the singularity. He hit the ketamine. Just let the ketamine hit.
Nice. All right. Give me one moment to get this queued up.
The younger generation now tells me how tough things are. Give me a break. No.
And rewind it and move it to the right spot. And then resize it a little bit, and then pop it in here, and then come over here and make it so that everyone can hear it. One moment. There we go. And now I fade this over. Hey, look at that. And now we can play it.
The younger generation now tells me how tough things are. Give me a break. No. I have no empathy for it. Give me a break. Because here's the deal, guys. We decided we were going to change the world, and we did. We did. We finished the civil rights movement to the first stage. The women's movement came into being. So my message is, get involved.
We're getting involved, motherfucker.
People who are involved won you this election. Maybe.
This dude was born in 1942, which means he turned 20 in 1962. At when the United States had like arguably the strongest social safety net it's ever had, like his, people 15 years older than him fucking defended the world from fascism, and the real ones were the Lincoln Brigade, right? Let's be real. But other people fought his wars for him. Other people fucking built the economy, and he just drifted into this incredibly privileged position of being a straight white dude, who came of age in the early 60s and got all his shit as free as it's ever been in the United States, and then wants to say like what he doesn't have empathy for. It's like you've literally never had to actually do anything.
It's gross. It's just fucking gross. At the most.
I mean, he couldn't even run for president. He tried to be Jimmy Carter and ruin the party way back in those days, and couldn't even do that. He couldn't even compete against a peanut farmer.
That's because he got caught plagiarizing shit and lying about his academic record.
That is one of the funniest stories. Although, in fairness, in fairness to him, we should focus on the really important ways in which he sucks, because he did actually appropriately credit it the night before and just forgot the credit at the next night's speech. But it's not like he was ever claiming he said some shit he didn't write. More importantly, he incarcerated thousands of people of color through his policies and, invested in war and shredding the social safety net and defending other of his cohorts who got fucking rich for nothing. And then we're like, oh, we must have earned all this and no one else deserves it. So, let's focus on why he really sucks.
He also opposed busing with his vice presidential candidate, who...
Little girl was me.
She also sucks so much. Oh, my God. I'm glad that she is no longer going to be our senator. I'm so glad that she's not going to be our senator.
Maybe.
Newsom gets to a point, right, Bill?
Yeah, he gets to a point, I think.
Oh, you what do you think I do for a living? I am not a constitutional lawyer. I don't know. Ask Obama.
No, this is exactly what I do for a living, for the record.
Just know how senatorial vacancies are handled in the state of California. That's my job description.
I mean, Okay,
I want to ask. I want
Alex-
to ask a serious
Alex
question.
Nagy is saying in the chat that he does in fact get to a point. I have heard people saying that there might have to be a special election because there's so much of her term still outstanding. But my understanding was the same as Alex, which is that he gets to a point.
I think he might be allowed to call an election, but I'm not sure if he's required to.
Gotcha. Alex is saying that Padilla and Becerra are the two that he gets to appoint. Two options for him are Padilla and Becerra. That way he gets to appoint someone else. 2 for 1. Oh, interesting. So then he gets to okay. So if Newsom appoints either Padilla or Becerra to the Senate, then he gets to appoint a new AG or Secretary of State for California. And nobody quite likes to grab hold of power and never fucking let go, quite like Gavin Newsom here in the great state of California.
I have a question that is like not it's tangential to this one, specifically for Rachel and Caroline, because we know how invested in identity politics we are at Ground Game. If Biden does what is sometimes speculated and bails before his term is over, and the first female president gets there without, standing for election, how do we feel about that? Good, bad, neutral?
Listen, if it were someone good, I'd allow it. But no.
Yeah, I'm not gonna wear a white suit and celebrate Kamala becoming president by default because Biden decided to check in to a facility. Like, it's not exciting. She's not like I don't like her. We all live in California. We all know the history that she has in this state of incarcerating people and their parents. So no, I'm not going to be fucking happy about it. And I don't like being made to feel like I need to celebrate every woman in power simply because she identifies as a woman. It's irritating to me.
I think there's this huge disconnect between I don't know, there's a lot of press and notoriety and fame around the squad, and people assume that it's because they're young women, and that's not the case. Yes, they are young women, they're young women of color, but they're young women of color whose politics and whose analysis is exactly what we need for this moment, and it's the intersection of those 3 things that make them the squad. If you don't have those 3 things, then we don't give a shit. And I don't know what it's going to take for the party to recognize that, and I think, again, with Nithia's race, with Ed Markey's race, with a lot of these races, there's this assumption that, there's just a lot of assumptions about what we want out of our candidates, and it's literally policy. We will come to bat for you, and we will, make all our memes, cyberbully whoever the fuck you want, and we will come for you. And someone like Ed Markey, who doesn't have the best progressive record ever, but who literally said, I see that you guys are willing to work for me, and I will promise you that I can, try or I can deliver on the promises that I'm going to make you. And it's so frustrating that people think it's because, AOC's hot or she is a girl boss. No, it's because maybe she looks more like us, which isn't very hard when all of your colleagues are 700 years old, but she looks like us. And also she has the experience of living in a world where we've all been so fucked over by how the system works. And those 2 things are necessary to us, giving her the amount of support. It's not a secret. I just don't get it. This isn't hard.
Go, Chris.
I was just gonna say that they don't think that they don't give you the credit of being able to have that analysis.
Right.
They want to infantilize you and tell you, no, 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 no. You want her because she's a hot girl boss. You don't want her because she is a champion of a Green New Deal. You don't want her because all of the bullet points that Fox News kept putting up there are all actually the things that she stands for and are all actually the things that we fucking want to have happen. They think that you only want her because she's sassy with the memes and she's got the most amazing Twitter capacity of everyone in Congress. I mean, she does, and she's good with memes, but she's also just like a very online millennial who fucking gets it. And she has a class analysis. And these fuckers have their own class analysis, but it's from a very different perspective. None of those people, like, I bet you we can count on one goddamn hand the number of people who had to work 2 jobs to support their parents and not have their mom's house get fucking foreclosed on them because their father passed away. Maybe even just on 2 fingers, right? Like, there are so few people in that body, in our legislative body at a national level, who actually fucking understand this shit, and it is the squad that gets it. And that, I honestly, my hope from all of this is that in the coming years, the differences between like the squad, the progressive wing of the Democratic Party, and then the rest of the fuckers, like what's his name, the West Virginia guy. You guys know who I'm talking about. Manchin. There we go. I hope that division becomes irreconcilable, and that we actually have to split it up, and that we somehow figure out how to make it so that we have like ranked choice vote everywhere, or at least like jungle primaries everywhere, so that we can actually have like a division of politics into multiple parties, so that people don't have to fall into these 2 giant fucking silos of the racist assholes or the corporate assholes, and that you have to pick which side of the shit sandwich you're forced to eat.
I mean,
if
people know
anything,
if people know anything about me, they know I'm an accelerationist to the core, and so I just want to ask, when we get to that beautiful day when we have open primaries nationwide, we have the presidential candidates, who are we going to vote for, AOC or Ilhan?
Ooh,
I think
that's the new divide.
I'll bravely step up first and say, as a proud New Yorker and like unrepentant Yankees fan, I gotta go with AOC. You're
I'd go
solely on New York pride.
Team Ilhan over here.
I'm also a Yankees fan. My great grandfather built the bridge that connects the Bronx to Manhattan, so it's a little bit hard.
Yes, he did.
Dude, hell yeah. No, the thing on Yankees fans is everyone thinks we're just asshole front runners, but we all have like a really sweet grandfather story about like, sneaking into the bleachers when Joe DiMaggio was playing for 25 cents, and it's just Bill's grandfather made the bridge. Like, come on.
My great grandfather. He was also he was a building trades leader who deployed the power of the union against affirmative action and helped bolster Nixon. So he's a terrible dude. Don't replicate his actions.
You win some, you lose some.
Quick interjection. Johnny Coleman is in the chat, I believe, or somebody else under the No Olympics Twitch handle, saying that it would be Rashida Tlaib who would get.
This is Rashida Erasure. She is seriously.
I think Rashida is the Ross Perot of that race. She's the spoiler.
Well, I think I'm glad we've gotten this far. Not something we all really want to talk about, but I would say before we move on to our like gush fest about everyone knows who, what does everyone think for a Biden presidency? What's the first step? What do we do? Starting.
What do we do? Our movement? Punch him in the fucking mouth. That was the mistake we made with Obama.
Okay. Protest, immediate protest
right away. Mm-hmm.
General strike if we can do it.
Can't let up.
Protests everywhere, all the time.
Right.
I was amongst a small minority of people who were like in the institutional left in 2008 who were advocating that position, and I don't know if I was right, but I know for sure that those other folks were wrong. Like, oh, we have to protect our guy. Like, that was not the right approach, obviously. And that's how we got here.
Gloves
so let's
off.
try something different. Let's not be the
Gloves
DNC. Let's
off.
not just keep trying the wrong strategy for 50 years.
We don't have 50 fucking years. We can't. They've squandered that shit. That ship has sailed. We are facing climate catastrophe. We are fucked. Gloves off. Biden's got to fucking man up and do something. Or spine, grow a spine. Stand up. Ban fracking. What the fuck?
Force the issue on it right away. If you differentiate yourself as the party that believes in science, force the issue right away.
Yes, absolutely.
I know that you brought me on to really make this lame and as lame and boring as possible, but I really think that like strategically it might not be a bad idea to try to use the Biden presidency as a big money pump and then really fight our most important policy fights at the local and state level. Like honestly, like get a bunch of unrestricted block grants out. We can do a homes guarantee. We can do climate. We can do a Green New Deal in like a lot of places where it matters, even places that are like thought of as red areas. We can do a lot if unrestricted block funding just comes in, and we get to actually fight over how to use it locally.
All right, we have two things for glossary, one from the chat and one from me. First one from the chat, really quick in like 10 seconds or less, what's a jungle primary? And the second one, unrestricted block funding. So first things first, Rachel, what's a jungle primary?
I was going to let Bill take this. I feel like you'd be more succinct than me. I'm not that succinct.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know the history of that term, and I'm suspicious of it, so I always call it a top two primary, just out of safety.
Primary.
But it just means that everyone in the primary is thrown into the same bucket, and then the top two people advance, whoever that is. So it can be two Democrats, two American Independence Party candidates. It doesn't fucking matter. There's no partisan primary. No candidate gets a reserve seat at the table just because of our fakakta system.
We could make it simpler by just having an immediate runoff, automatic runoff as a ranked choice voting system, and then we could skip the entire process and only have to do it one fucking time.
How would you spend millions of dollars?
Ask Maine if it works or not. It's unclear to me. If that's
Fair
the way
enough,
to move.
fair enough. But yeah, so then the other question, so unrestricted block grants. Give us the lowdown.
Yeah, so we have a federalist system. So we have sort of these 50 sub-federal governments, and there's lots of places where the Congress either must or can legislate, but there's lots of other places where what they can do is just send a big package of money to the states with some, with more or less sort of parameters on how we use it. So. A slightly empowered Democratic Party might sort of see better results by, instead of trying to have every fight out nationally in a toxic climate, just, very few legislators of any party at the state and local level are grumpy when you send them money. So it's just like, just fund, just like pump money into the system.
Give me a break.
Sorry, didn't mean to have Biden start talking. Did mean to bring
That's
Motter
what he
back.
thinks. That's what he thinks about. That's what Biden thinks about. Give me a break. Send money to the states.
Give me a break.
Motter.
What's up, Motter?
What happened yesterday? There was a race.
Me?
Yeah, you.
What am I reporting on?
The thing on your shirt, yo.
Yeah.
Oh, we haven't talked about this yet?
No, we are waiting for you, kind of.
Well, Nithya Raman probably won her city council race, which is like kind of unheard of for a challenger to unseat a incumbent, especially one that raised like, how much he raised? Like $2 million with his PACs included. Yeah, and that was like, that's been the plan since we formed Ground Game, was to take over these seats. We came close with Lorraine, but we hadn't thrown like our full weight behind it. But pretty much everyone in ground game was also volunteering on the Nithya campaign or working on it, and two ground game founders were the campaign managers, Jess and Killa. And yeah, now Nithya is up. What's the split like?
It's she has
5.5 points.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's at 52.39 and he is at 47.61.
And how many votes total does she have? Because I tweeted about this earlier.
Yeah, 59,117.
Yeah, and like for the record, Mike Bonin got elected with 31,000 votes, and no one else is even close to that. Koretz got elected with 25,000 votes. Several people are below 10,000 votes on city council, so this might be like the most votes any council member has ever received, which would make her.
I actually, yeah, John, I to the best of my knowledge, that is true. And as of midnight this morning, Nithya Raman was the only candidate to have ever gotten more than 50,000 votes for a city council seat. I will say, unfortunately, at this point, she's now the first candidate to have gotten more than 50,000 because her opponent also did. But, you know,
she'll probably crest 60 at this rate.
I told Nithya this. Like, I told Jess this too. Like, when we ran, like, we earned every single one of those votes. Like, no one voted for us just because they subscribed to the LA Times and they saw the endorsement there, or because they just check the Democratic Party endorsements before they go in and just check everyone with a D or check incumbent. Like, everyone who voted for, we can't even say people voted for just because they wanted a woman in office, because a lot of people didn't even know Nithya was a woman's name. We were finding out, like phone banking and stuff. So like pretty much everyone who voted for Nithya knew who Nithya was, knew what we were running on, and chose that over Rue and over everything that's, you know, all the corruption and bullshit at City Hall. So
fun little
that's pretty
anecdote
impressive.
from the chat. The People's Budget LA had more respondents to the survey than Koretz had voters vote for him.
Yeah.
Also worth pointing out that Mark Ridley Thomas is currently at 44,000 votes, so he, I believe, is now the second highest vote total to win a city council race. Second, of course, to Nithya, who's definitely going to pass 60,000 at this rate.
He's also the third highest vote getter in of all city council races this cycle. I just want to I can't reinforce enough how important it is that this race really was about. You know, like, part of our vision is if people actually knew what was going on at City Hall and someone bothered to call people in and say, hey, this matters, and you get to have a voice in this process, like how much that could radically change things. We can get better candidates. But frankly, I'm like really happy that David Rue got over 50,000 votes as well, because it means like it's a very real sort of mandate on what the voters in LA want, right? I mean, this is not a cheap victory. And I just think that's actually so much more important because, like you were saying before, Chris, like, we don't have fucking time to fuck around with this. Like,
nope.
This shit is serious, and we can't leave any question marks about the fact that this is the direction we need to go. So I'm glad that it was a tough race. You know, I'm really proud that we took on an incumbent like Rue. I mean, you know, not to give a sneak preview or anything, but like, Mitch O'Farrell's nothing compared to David Rue as an opponent.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to bring in the chat now so that when Walker and Alex and Kyle Hunter Bailey and everybody else is saying stuff, it actually shows up on the screen instead of me having to try to transcribe it, reading it to you guys. Yeah, no.
My screen keeps freezing too, so I keep looking at the TV so I can see what you look like.
Motter, you guys need to like get better internet at the house.
There's literally, I think the entire Nithya campaign, the entire staff is one house. And so would you say that was the secret to the success of this election? You're just all...
I mean, it helped get me more involved. I counted a shit ton of postcards and just stuff like that. I mean, just being able to put us to work. Yeah, that was useful. probably drove everyone insane too, having to work so closely together and live on top of each other. But I mean, saved us on rent. More money to donate. But yeah, that was like,
and that made all the difference.
That like LA Times headline where it's big Hollywood money like gets Nithya through, and it's like there's 5 people on the campaign living in this fucking house. Like fuck you.
I tried to start a bit about what rich people do and couldn't figure it out. I face planted halfway into that bit.
You did. You bailed very abruptly.
Just no idea.
You're like, they go back to bed, right? Right? No, the answer is they pour themselves a fucking cocktail and get the party rolling at 11 a.m.
Oh my god! What about these Donald Trump types who are like always white knuckling it through life, though? You know, there's like a weird fash element there.
I think they tune into YouTube and just go through their flat Earth conspiracy playlist.
Oh my god, they so do. Well, they start with like a gamer video, and within 3 autoplays, they're like in deep ass QAnon shit.
Yeah.
We've got a request in the chat for an Orb House bid. BID.
Wait, what?
We probably could take over a neighborhood council.
You should.
Just like this.
Do it.
Alex Fumero is asking why it's called the Orb House. The answer.
Hang on.
The answer.
I'll go get an orb.
Yeah, go. Oh shit! You still have some? I thought that they all disappeared. Like I thought that the house was purged of the orbs. But that's
like a weird. That's like a weird equivalent to the use of the journalistic passive voice, where it's like they disappeared. No one knows where they could have gone.
These orbs were all over our house. I don't know what they stand for, but they're all over the house when we moved in. And we kept some of them, and I don't know. We didn't have a more clever name to refer to the house, but we wanted to give it a proper name, so it's the Orb House. We don't know if they're good or bad energy, if they trap spirits or repel them.
I think it's pretty good, right?
Seems to be working so far.
Working.
You guys are definitely saved in my phone book under.
I wanted to call it the Orbit. I thought it gave it more of like a club vibe, but Orb House seems so stuck.
Fumero has.
I proposed an acronym based on the people who lived there at the time at the Jams house. I thought that could have worked, but
you can hear their laughter. Rachel, I know you have been one on this campaign since the beginning. You want to just talk?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna try to talk without like getting emotional.
Don't get emotional.
Stone face through it. No, growing up in LA, like, those of us on the call who have grown up here, like, I personally always kind of felt like it was the same 5, 6, 7 families like operating in LA politics, whether it was a city level or a county level. Everyone's constantly playing musical chairs. So to me, it felt like we were never going to crack that code. Like, the way to get power for folks was always through propositions, or just like other means of organizing, because we were like, I was never going to be able to affect change in terms of who was in these seats. And so something I realized during this campaign over the last year and a bit was that I've never organized for a person in Los Angeles. Like, I've organized around props, and I've organized in coalitions with organizations, but like in terms of going door to door for a person running for an office in Los Angeles, like I hadn't done that. And Nithya was the first person I've ever done that for. And I turned 29 this year. And so when I realized that, I was like really actually quite shocked that that hadn't occurred to me before, this year. And that just, to me, says like we have been completely void of people passionate enough about this city to run and give a voice and uplift the people that live in the city. in my opinion, like, I don't think anyone before Nithya has made me feel as passionate and excited about what we could have in this city. And, you know, my friend Hayes took me out for coffee last summer and said, hey, I know someone who's planning on running for city council. Are you interested in helping us out? And just like coming to meet her and like seeing if you like her and what she's about. And I was like, yeah, I mean, she sounds like she has great politics. He told me about Sela. I don't live in her district, so I didn't know about Sela. And I was like, oh, that sounds great. Yeah, let's definitely meet her. And when I met her, I was completely blown away. And I think that anyone that meets Nithya for the first time feels that way. The passion she has for the city and the urgency she has in terms of like, these are the things we need to do, was incredible. And the fact that the campaign was centered around education and just like allowing folks to learn the ways in which their city council could help them, but also has failed them for decades, was really important to me and really moving for me as someone who studied education in college. I was in museum education for a very long time. So for me, like, helping folks understand how things work and just like the bare bones of our city structure was like, I was like, that you sold me, right? Like, part of this campaign was always just teaching people how the city works, and knowing that like Jess and Killa were behind that, and like knowing their history as organizers in the city. I was like, okay, yeah, sign me the fuck up. Like, if those are the people that are like behind this campaign, and just being in the room with people like Josh Androsky and Hayes and, you know, and Nithya as well, like, it was just, I was like, yeah, of course I want to help this person. Like, whatever you want, like, tell me what to do. And just an anecdote that I will share to kind of tie up my just complete like love of Nithya and this entire campaign and everybody who's helped with it. I was in retail when this campaign started, and I would work opening shifts at the mall so that I could be in K-Town by nighttime to like be at Nithya's meetings. So I would like leave my house at 7 a.m. I would drive to Santa Monica. I would drive from Santa Monica to Koreatown to get to the office, which is like, if you live in LA, you know that that's like really annoying to do at rush hour. At 5, 6 o'clock at night. And I remember one time specifically, I was like extremely exhausted. I think there was a floor change, and I got to the office and Nithya looked at me and was like, are you sure you should be here? Like, you look really tired. And just for her to like notice that I was so exhausted, and like just the compassion, I don't know. I honestly just feel like we've just been so burdened with politicians that don't give a shit about us. To have somebody recognize my exhaustion was like really big for some reason. And I will never forget that moment. It was just like such a real human moment that I got to have with Nithya. And I was exhausted. Like, I almost fell asleep on the fucking 10, to be honest. So yeah, I was tired. But I just like, but it didn't matter. Like, I needed to show up and phone bank for Nithya in that moment. And I don't know that I will ever feel that strongly about another candidate. I hope that we get spoiled for choice in every other city council district, because there are 15 of them and we got one person who gives a shit, and every other seat is up for contest, in my opinion. And every other person on council needs to be made aware that like they are not safe, and you need to show up for your community, you need to show up for your neighbors, because we will organize and we will win, and this campaign is proof of that. And I am just proud of every single person that I've worked with, people that I've met and I haven't even met, but it's incredible. I'm like, this is like, I literally like, just like, I will stop talking, but I am so fucking proud of every single person on this campaign. Like, I just like, I can't, like, thank you to everybody. Thank you to Nithya for leading. Like, I mean, this is huge. This really, really is huge. And I want everybody to really sit with the gravity of what we were able to accomplish together. So thank you to everybody.
Got a lot of questions in the chat. Is it possible that one of those next city council members might be you?
I want Rachel to primary Nuri. Oh, okay. Yeah.
You heard it on Knock at Night.
I would love to, because like Nuri is not my choice. And I was, I was born and raised in CD6. I'm from Pacoima. And something that I like to share all the time, because it's true, is that my grandma, who like recently passed, her part of Pacoima doesn't have sidewalks. Like, and my grandma was someone who wasn't able to walk very well at the end of her life. So, like, to know that she wasn't safe to go on her own sidewalks in her district is frustrating. And it's such an easy, small thing to fix for your constituents, that she lived almost 30 years in her neighborhood without sidewalks that were accessible for people is annoying, and it's frustrating, and I'm sorry to cry about this, but it's an easy fix for city council. It's an easy thing to get right for people. And so in such small ways, we have been failed by our council members. And obviously a sidewalk is like not, the end all be all of like city politics, but it's something that council members like to go back to. Like, the bread and butter of city politics is our streets and our sidewalks and the trees, which of course are all important because they're accessibility issues and they're inclusivity issues. But if you can't even get that right in your district, like, you have no business being council president, and you have no business representing my neighborhood, and truly like forgetting where you come from. And sometimes I don't always agree with that framework of thinking about things, like don't forget where you come from, but that it is something that my grandparents always told me. And it's something that I feel like they did forget. Like, they grew up going to all of the same schools as my parents and my grandparents went to. And, it's like a funny way of showing it, to just completely not show up for your community. So, I mean, I would love to primary Nuri. I don't know that I'll be in a position to do that. I hope that I will be, but but I think that Nithia's race, again, has just shown us that it is possible, and that if you have a desire and a passion to show up for your neighbors, like, you will win, and we don't have to compromise, right? Like, Nithia did not take the bait when Rue was trying to say that she was, this, whatever he was trying to paint her as, in terms of like talking about ground game and DSA as, unbelievable, like, leftist, whatever nonsense red baiting he was doing. She did not take the bait, and neither did the campaign, and instead stood firm and stood up for her partners in this campaign, as well as her neighbors. And so we don't have to compromise. We don't have to pretend like we're not who we are. The things that we want are valid, and we will get them, and we have the ability to give, education and healthcare and clean air and clean water and all of these different things to our neighbors. We just have to like do it. And so I'm happy that we have someone like Nithya on council now who will advocate for those things. So hopefully I can. I think there's a lot of, the odd numbers are next in 2022. Yeah. So let's do Mitch O'Farrell. Let's do, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, everyone else who's up. But we have to. We have to, because we live in a society with other people. So we owe it to each other to fill these seats with people who give a shit.
So for what it's worth, CD6 is in 2024. Nithya will be up for re-election in 2024. Y'all can run on a slate.
Slate, baby. We need
hang on.
Candidates for props.
I want to add to what Rachel said, because
please do.
I was reminded of this post Adrian did about Nuri. I'm trying to read it now, but she's like filing nuisance abatement cases of against this property for like having cars. Like cars parked in the front yard and like overgrown yard and shit like that, just trying to find people, which is just like totally absurd that it's not her responsibility to maintain her district's sidewalks and just make her district accessible but she can use the law to fine people for not maintaining like their own private property. It's just like, I don't know. That's just like utterly ridiculous to me.
That is literally agenda item 1 on almost every fucking general council meeting that they have, is these liens and fees that are being charged by LADBS against all these properties across the whole fucking city for those kinds of nuisance complaints, those kinds of issues of you had like a fridge sitting in your front yard and therefore we're charging you all this money. But at the same time they won't fucking repair the sidewalks, which is why they got sued for billions of dollars over an ADA complaint, because they've got too many goddamn cracks and they stopped maintaining the trees or replacing the sidewalks because LA hates disabled and old people, apparently.
There's entire alleys. You know how a lot of LA residential neighborhoods, there's the street and then there's the corresponding alley that runs behind the properties. And there's entire sets of alleys in districts 8 and 9 that are just construction dumping grounds, right? So all this development that we see in Koreatown, downtown, Mid-Wilshire, a lot of the construction debris doesn't get disposed of in any legitimate way. It gets dumped into public alleys by big ass corporations. And you know who never gets fucking fined or a lien or anything? I'm so sick of this, the way the city punches down.
On Skid Row too, and everyone wanted to blame Skid Row for typhus and stuff when it was those businesses just dumping all their organic trash in the alleys.
The flower market just dumps all the cuttings. All the cuttings. They just get dumped. All the spare produce from all these food markets too. Like literally you walk through Skid Row and you're just like, the unhoused people who are like forced to live here in many circumstances, or who got dumped here because they got they got cycled through the jail system overnight. They're not the ones that brought a flat of goddamn tomatoes and dumped it on the sidewalk. Like, that was not an unhoused person. An unhoused person didn't come in and bring a queen-size mattress and dump it on a street corner. That was not an unhoused person. The blaming of our unhoused community in the city for the sins of businesses and, shitty people just behaving badly is unfucking believable, and they all just immediately scapegoat them because they, for the longest time, have not had a voice in council other than like LA Can showing up and shutting shit down on the regular. And goddamn, I miss hanging out with those guys. Ugh.
Wait, let me try to tie this together. Let me try to bring this back.
Yeah, do it.
All of that speaks to the way in which LA City was, fundamentally had since Western colonization came. This is a resource colony, right? And it's structured as a resource colony. And so our leadership is not, and never has had, a political culture of representation or leadership. They are effectively middle managers, right, of a resource extraction chain that started up in San Francisco and has tentacles everywhere now. But like, that's what this place has always been, and that's what's in part so revolutionary about Nithya, is the way in which she represents an opportunity. It's probably unfair to say the very first, but the best opportunity we have right now for actual like representation that represents accountability to the community, as opposed to the facilitation of a resource extraction project scheme of one kind or another. Right? I mean, like that's really, so it is a revolution. And if AOC's taught us anything, the revolution starts with posting thirst. So that's really, I think I went too far in trying to tie things back. Back up to the part about the Nithya.
No, this is amazing. It's been a journey. I am so proud of the work that everyone has done. I am so excited to see where we move forward with all of this. As Rachel said, as Caroline has said, and Bill and John and Stephen, all of you, we know the odd districts are up next. We know that Mitch knows that we're coming for his ass. We know that if Paul, oh my God, I so wish Paul Koretz wasn't termed out right now, but that's okay. We can still find someone to run against him for controller, and then we can all vote against Paul Koretz citywide, and that will be glorious. But there's a lot of work to be done. It's exciting to see where we move forward. And let's just do closing thoughts. Steven, you haven't spoken for a bit.
Man, you put me on the start to close it out. I would say I'm sure this sentiment has been echoed many times today, but the fact that Nithya won and Measure J passed and Draco's free, and a new DA is in, even though this might sound crass, but like nothing happened. I had a bunch of friends text me like, "Oh, what happened just now that like blew it for the DA?" And it's like kind of nothing. Her record just got exposed, and a really tightly organized and like incredible campaign rallied around the opportunity of an upcoming election. So I don't know. I feel like this has been said by many other people, but like the mandate for criminal justice reform, if not outright beginning to defund and abolish, felt really good today. And I mean, yeah, I feel like that's about as positive as you can get right now. And other than just, yeah, Rachel 2020, 24, 26. We're going to do the Franklin Delano Roosevelt thing, which just gets to be president forever.
Nithya first.
The Mao thing, or there are a lot of things we can do, but no, mainly just that I'm getting a lot of positivity again as a relative newcomer to the space of the tremendous mandate that was given to full criminal justice reform in LA County is pretty special. Cheers to that. Do I popcorn it? Is that what I'm
Yeah, let's
do?
popcorn it.
I'm gonna pat. You want to pass it to you? Are you ready? Do you want me to?
No.
You want someone else? I'm gonna hit John Motter. John Motter, what do you got?
I got these orbs, man.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew you would be the one to pass it.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, Draco getting free, that's cool. Nithya winning, Holly Mitchell, Constantine. And then, I mean, all of our candidates having a good showing. You know, no one got blown out, even though they had, you know, they're facing really incredible odds. Bunch of homes guarantees, candidates across the country winning. Yeah, it's huge. Just keep organizing, folks. Like, no, there is a plan. We've been working on this for years. It's funny too. I was looking through that the footage I shot from Jess's campaign. It's like I feel like we've aged so much in the last 3 years. Like we all look so young there. But it's yeah, just stay engaged, everyone. Stay tuned. The reckoning is coming. Off of that stuff. I'm gonna have to post that meme now from Ground Game, I think.
Yeah, the leash is off on the posting. You can post whatever you want now.
Yeah, free pass for the next 24 hours.
Yeah, but I do want to go hard. Bill, you can go.
I mean, I think I look pretty good for a guy in his early 70s, frankly.
No, yeah.
This is like, was it Maury who did?
I don't know.
What's happening? Okay. Yeah, was that Maury who did it, or the Cincinnati mayor guy? Which one of it had the final thoughts? Anyway,
I thought it was Tommy Lahren.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Oh no, but that's cribbed. That's cribbed. Somebody had it first. Tommy Lahren's way too new to the game for that. But I think I'll just say, I mean, I really believe. I mean, that fundamentally, right? What is organizing about is that, you know, people who are directly impacted by issues really do deserve to have the dignity and expertise to name and direct how to get out of those issues. I think that's what Nithya's campaign was about, a lot of her success, but also just even the vision of a campaign, like we said before, that draws more people into the process and invites people to participate in their own liberation, participate in their own destiny making. You know, like there's a sort of really fundamental thing about human dignity that, to Rachel's point, like so many of these fuckers just like fundamentally don't believe in. And I think that was actually the intangible contrast. And let this be the very last race in LA City where the incumbent the night before the election sends out an email saying, no one knows who I am or what I do for a living.
Oh my God, he admitted.
Wait,
you
what?
said the quiet part so loud, David.
Yeah, it was great.
Definitely Caroline's
he also
up
needed
next.
money for tables. To pay his volunteers.
Oh man, yeah,
My paid volunteers. I can't afford my paid volunteers.
so happy we can just fully laugh.
I think we should send them tables. I honestly think we should send them a couple tables.
A thank you table. Here's your honorary thank you table. Thanks for participating. What was that thing that he said? He said to one of our. He came up to one of our. Sorry, Caroline. I'm going to let you go in a second. But he said to one of our tablers. He said something so fucking condescending, like "Thank you for participating in the process."
Thank you for participating in the democratic process and voting. Yes.
Oh my God! Can we get that shit engraved on a table and give it to him? Send him packing forever. All right, Caroline, go. Jesus.
No, I have nothing that really hasn't already been said. I think again, going back to what we were talking about earlier, I'm feeling really good about the fact that in our local races and federally, we have achieved so much just in galvanizing people. And you know, it's insane that it has to take this long to just get people to realize that we care about policy and things that will actually change our lives, change our earth, not because we want them, but because we need them. The situation is so dire across the board, and I'm really, really heartened by the fact that you know, we had over 2,000 volunteers on the Nithya campaign, and all day our Slack workspace has been filled with people saying, like, you know, we have to keep this. Can we keep this Slack going? Can we keep phone banking? And I think I'm really excited for that period of transition where, you know, a lot of these newer volunteers realize, like, we don't have to come up with new things to phone bank. Like, the work is already here. The work is cut out for us. And we've really just engaged a sizable portion of the Los Angeles population through a city council race. And that is, it's incredible. And, you know, matched with what's going on at the national level, the proof is there. This is how we win. This is how we build power. And secondly, I think, you know, this is obviously Knock at Night. We're on Twitch, we're on Twitter, we're everywhere. I think going forward, I would love us to just really, you know, double down and buckle down on our media strategies going forward. The fucking LA Times article about the Nithya race is, I actually didn't read the article because why the fuck would I read that? But the headline is bullshit. And
yeah, it is.
To destroy, like, this is unacceptable. All of these outlets, from the local news stations to the LA Times to, you know,
Los Feliz Ledger,
the County Democratic Party.
How could I forget? Like, we're coming, you know, not only are we coming for all these city council members, but we're coming for the LA Times, we're coming for the Los Feliz Ledger, we're coming for fucking CBS, KTLA. I don't care, all of you. You're bad at your jobs, and you need to actually report on what's going on the ground and not, you know, siphon through a conglomerate that is, you know, run from wherever the fuck. It's infuriating. And sorry to end on a sad note, but I think it's really, really important that all of us here, and this is something Kendall has encouraged from the beginning. It's just like, we need to be, we've been losing the media war for so long, and there's too much talent, too much skill, too many memes on our side to keep losing. And I think this race was a really important example of how we harnessed the media that we had access to win this thing. And we have to keep going.
I want to lift up what's being said in the chat. The LA Times writers obviously don't write the headlines. The headline editor writes that. So Dave Z, Dakota, I know you're watching. You're chill. You guys are fine. We're coming for you, headline, right? Like, whatever the headline editor is.
Read the article. So
the headline is trash. The headline is trash.
The headline is the hottest garbage they've published this month. Like, unbelievable.
That's saying something.
Yeah. Let's see.
You're also under no obligation to read articles with shitty headlines. Every time people are like, "Well, did you read the article?" It's like, no, I didn't read like why shit tastes good actually article. Like, oh well, they make some good points. Like, I don't.
why the Proud Boys isn't just a social club? They're not dangerous. Also from the LA Times.
Sorry. Garbage. Go ahead.
No, who are you popcorning to? Me or Rachel? It's your choice.
I guess Rachel, and then Chris, if you want to just round us out. Yeah. Go ahead, Rachel.
I mean, co-sign everything that everyone else said. I just think it's like I'm ready to keep going, right? Like that's just kind of like the end. Like, there is no end to the story because there's still so much work to be done. And even if Biden does eke out a win nationally, like there's so much more to do to keep going. There's so much more to do in the state, in the county, in the city. I'm trying to just focus personally on the ramifications of Prop 22, which we didn't get to talk about. We don't need to get into it now, but I think we need to continue to try and uplift workers' voices. I hope that we can start doing that at a city level. But that Prop 22 sets a dangerous precedent for workers. And so I think that I'm going to try and refocus and figure out what the strategy is to combat 22 at this point, because it will infect every other workplace beyond just delivery drivers and gig workers. Everybody will become a gig worker. It only really costs $200 billion or whatever they paid. So I think that that's where my focus needs to be right now, because we're all workers at the end of the day, unless we own the LA Times and we're billionaires. So that's what I will say. There's more work to be done. And we have to keep going. And I encourage everybody to join a local org. If you're in LA, join Ground Game. And I will pass it to Chris.
Thank you very much. Really quick note, Alex McIlvain just posted a link in the Twitch chat. Stephen, you absolutely need to click on that link and look at what it is.
You gotta do it for me.
Go ahead and do that.
You can't. We.
Oh, I don't think I can click on it.
You have to go to twitch.tv and click on it.
I know.
Okay, you know what? Here. Let me just share it in the. Did John already share it?
Chris is our computer daddy.
It's in Skype. It's in Skype. Click on the thing.
Oh my gosh.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Here we go. It's a video of Draco in the studio, posted 16 minutes ago. So,
man,
this is literally our most timely episode we have ever done. There was no planning, there was no scripting, there was nothing prepared.
Honestly, I don't want to take away from you, Chris. No. Really cool.
Super cool. No, I co-sign, as Rachel said, with everything that everyone has said. Quick point out, because Johnny Coleman loves to remind us of just how trash the LA Times is. Henry Kissinger, for a more peaceful vision of the future, look to the Olympics.
Also not dead yet.
Not the Onion either.
Somehow not dead yet. Not the Onion. We're doing the work. We're legitimately doing the work, and I am so proud of the work that everyone at Knock and Ground Game has done, everyone on the Nithya campaign has done, and I know that this is only the beginning. The kinds of coalitions that we have built, the kinds of solidarity that we have found and forged out of this COVID clusterfuck, because we have been any possible illusion that the government at the state or federal level gave a shit about us has been completely, that wool has been pulled from our eyes, and we know that we take care of us. And we are doing this work, and we are going to win. And we are going to take the power from the assholes that refused to do the job when a crisis presented itself. They have abdicated from their responsibility, and they deserve to get fired. And we're coming for their asses. So I don't want to drag it on anymore. Thank you, everybody, so much for tuning in. Thank you to John, Bill, Steven, Rachel, and, of course, Caroline, who absolutely needs to become a regular appearance on the screen because this is amazing. And I do love having two people in one video stream. It's been so fun. I apologize for the brief technical glitch.
Going forward, we will only appear as a duo. It benefits me tremendously. It brings her down a lot, but these are the compromises that we make.
The relationship,
Now we just got to get the ring light for Steven too, because that's a thing.
I know.
Yeah. Our first product sponsorship.
I will either come on again after our next city council seat that we win, or every episode until we win again, whichever is more motivating.
Nice. All right. Well, on that note, I think I'm going to transition us to the ending screen. I don't have a credits thing set up because it's literally just me. And it's a live that is going to be up there because I don't think we're going to be doing a show on Wednesday. I'm not going to be around, so that probably means there won't be a show next Wednesday. Again, thank you everybody for tuning in. Subscribe, become a patron on patreon.com/knock_LA because we're paying our fucking writers, yo. And that's awesome. Anyway, have a great night. Thank you, everybody. Love you all.